All right, My Hero Academia. It's been a hot minute since I've talked about this series. It's been about 10 chapters or so. I don't really think anything substantial has happened in that time frame, though, right? I think there was like a chapter somebody told me once where Sato was making like a chocolate cake, and that was like the entirety of the chapter. So honestly, I'm glad Horikoshi is going back to his roots, making it more of a slice of life kind of manga. Boy, wouldn't that be crazy? Like, after this big epic war with the villains, like, let's say the heroes win, right? Like, All for One fails, Tomura Shigaraki is just, he's completely redeemed and he joins the main cast, and, like, the rest of the series, the My Hero Academia continues for, like, 200 chapters, but it's just a slice of life, school life kind of manga from that point onward, and they just use their superpowers every once in a while, but it's really not that big of a deal. All right, so this will be chapter 343, titled Let You Down. And this is the kick-starting off. That was a weird way to phrase it, but this is the starting off point. That was even more of a weird way to phrase it. The second war is starting, all right? Second war, payback war, My Hero Academia style. Hopefully Deku and the gang do better at it than Marco and the Whitebeard Pirates did in One Piece. But you know what? I feel like they got it. They brought the fire. And just like how, like, the first war kind of started off with the heroes being on top, right? Like, all right, the heroes, they figured out what's going on at the hospital with the doctor. They're going to do this really elaborate subterfuge, infiltration and everything. And at the beginning of that last arc, it seemed like the heroes were going to win. But then it was revealed, oh, wait a second, we all have all these really powerful Nomus, and then Crust died, rest in peace, Crust, and then Mirko lost an arm, although she's back in this chapter with, like, honestly, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like she didn't even have a gun arm, which is what I thought 100% she was going to get. It's like, okay, Mirko, this is the future, My Hero Academia style. We can make you like a prosthetic arm or whatever, right? And she's like, nah. I want like, an automatic rifle on my arm instead. Could you do that? And they're like, yeah, we could. But no, it goes one step further. I know I'm skipping to the end of the chapter here, but I gotta open this up by talking about Mirko. I have no idea what this thing even is on her arm, her prosthetic arm. It kind of looks like something right out of One Piece. It looks like something Eustace Kid would make with his magnet fruit. It looks sort of like a giant arm that it could like fold out and like grapple opponents. It looks like it also could be a gun or a cannon. It looks like it could be a bunch of things, right? It's like, hey, Mirko, go home and think about what you want your prosthetic arm to be. And then she goes home and she brings like a giant list. Like, I want it to be a gun. I want it to be a cannon. I want it to be a grappling arm to like grapple my opponents and bring them back to me so I could punch them in the face. I want it to have a taser, just all these different things. They're like, all right, we'll get the support crew division on this, and they come back with this monstrosity. Oh my god, it's insane. And there's just so much stuff going on behind the scenes here that isn't directly stated in the manga yet. Horikoshi kind of leads it up to you to figure it out, and I'm not smart enough to figure it out, so I was reading a lot of comments, and I think I'm on the same page now, but there's still probably a lot of stuff in the background that we don't know about. All right. So, the beginning of this chapter, though, just starts with All for One. And he just talks about, honestly, one of his strongest quirks. And it's a quirk that he acquired at the very beginning of the quirk phenomenon in, like, the first generation. And acquiring this quirk very early on was sort of like the foundation stones for him to become this demon lord, like this master of all, right? And it's a very simple quirk, and he doesn't even remember the name, because this was back when quirks, well, they weren't even called quirks back then, right? They were called like meta abilities or whatever, and they didn't even have like the naming scheme and stuff. Like, you gotta imagine, like the idea in My Hero Academia is just like someday in our world, like where we're at right now, boom, people just get superpowers out of nowhere, right? It would be a complete like economic, political, like religious, probably, like everything would kind of shatter apart, and the world would have to be sort of built back up from a whole new perspective, right? And Aoyama even goes into that in this chapter. But this quirk is a very simple one. It allows him to determine whether or not somebody is lying to him. That's what All for One is talking about. He's like, no one can lie to me. Lies do not work on me. I am able to sense even the most minute malicious intent from an individual with this quirk. All for One goes on to say he doesn't know the true nature of the quirk, and also it's been powered up throughout the decades with all the different quirks combined together. By the way, while I'm on the subject of that, I just realized this, and I'm not sure if this is going to play a role or anything, but I'll just throw it out there. Maybe somebody can elucidate me on this. Okay, so Star and Stripe fought against Tomura, and using New Order, like, completely ravaged All for One. Like, a lot of the quirks that were inside Tomura got destroyed by New Order, right? However, wasn't it the whole thing that, like, All for One was actually copied? So the Doctor took the original quirk, All for One, and all the quirks included, and copied them over to Tomura. So Tomura had the true core of All for One. Meanwhile, All for One, the dude with, like, the messed up face, you know, the guy that's lived for centuries, he just had a copy of his original quirk, which was All for One, but still included all the quirks included that he stole, right? So because the main quirk was damaged, does that mean that this copy quirk was also damaged, right? Like, I just want to bring that up. So, like, New Order removed a bunch of quirks from Tomura, but wouldn't the copies still exist with him? So couldn't he transfer them over to Tomura if he wanted to? Still, you only have one copy left. You kind of had, like, backups of every single quirk that he stole. Now you don't have those. You just have one copy of every quirk so far. Plus, I guess there were a few quirks that were not destroyed by New Order. New Order didn't get all of them, but there was a good chunk that it wiped out. So I'm just a little curious about that. Let me know about that. He mentions, though, the original owner of this lie-detecting quirk was a rather dull disappointment of a man. However, their descendants would actually go on to fight alongside All Might to bring All for One down. And I have no idea who they were referring to here, so I had to look this up. And it's Tsukauchi. It's the detective. It's the guy with the police force. He doesn't have a quirk. He appears a lot more in Vigilantes. He also is revealed to have a sister, and also is kind of like a main character in Vigilantes, so you want to go check out that series. But yeah, it's Tsukauchi, and that's like, okay, his ancestor had this quirk, one of the first quirks, like a lie detector kind of thing, kind of apropos considering he's a police detective now. But anyway, yeah, All for One stole that, and that served as the foundation for a lot of his scheming, because now he knows immediately, instantly, if anybody's lying to him, if anyone's going to betray him. And knowing All for One, you know, let's say way back in the day somebody came up to him and says, I want to work for you, All for One, and he's like, yes, you can work for me. You will be my right arm. However, never betray me. And he's like, I will never betray you. And right there, let's say he was lying, and All for One knew he was lying, but he doesn't do anything right there. He's like, okay, he's definitely going to betray me, but I can make that work to my advantage, which is my brilliant scheming, you know? So he's definitely taken advantage of this. I think we could all assume that All for One had some sort of lie detection quirk up until this point. But yes, he does. And he's just like kind of like talking about it a little bit about how just ironclad it is, and nobody can fool him and everything like that. So we now have a moment where he's on the phone with Aoyama's parents. He's talking to Aoyama's mom on the phone, just kind of confirming where everybody's at right now in the situation at hand, and like the best way to get One for All and all that stuff, to get Izuku out in the open so they can capture him, right? And so they're doing this really, honestly, to me, it's kind of like a cheesy coded message. And we've seen this trope before, if you've ever seen like an action movie or anything. It's like, yeah, I'm hankering for a fine wine, perhaps a 40-year-old Macallan. How about aged exactly 16 years in a barrel? Ah, that's good. Our son could deliver it to you, wink. Ah, yes. Can I have his contact information, wink? Of course. In this day and age, you can never be too careful, wink. You know, it's like such an obvious coded message. It's like, you know, hold on a second, I have a phone call. Yeah, hi. Oh yeah, you're going to the store? Pick me up that special item I was waiting for, wink. Oh, you have to pre-order it? Wink. Yes, I would like some special wrapping paper. Wink. You know, like, it's so obvious to anyone around you. Like, you're clearly having a coded conversation right now, but it works. Whatever. Who cares? I don't even know why they need to bother having the coded conversation at this point, right? Well, I guess the idea is that All for One assumes that Aoyama's parents are being, like, monitored by the police and the detectives and stuff, so that's why they're doing this. But even so, it's pretty obvious to anyone listening. Yeah, this is a coded conversation. I guess it doesn't matter because even if you know it's a coded conversation, unless you know the meaning behind the code, I just think it's kind of cheesy. Especially for All for One, this dude that's like, I will be the demon lord of this world. All right, so Aoyama's mom is on the phone, and she confirms that everything is pretty much okay. You know, the plan can proceed as planned, and it will happen tomorrow. She's like, tomorrow then? And All for One's, yes, tomorrow. Cut to tomorrow, okay? So Horikoshi's doing a really cool thing here where he's skipping over a lot of this stuff, and even throughout the last few chapters, which I have actually read, I've been keeping up with it, right? And I actually want to do another video about Uraraka's and Izuku's relationship, because that last chapter, oh my god, that was so cute, right? Okay. I was just like fanboying as I was reading that, but anyway. Horikoshi is doing a really good job here with telling us what's going on in the bigger picture of things, like there's going to be a second war, the heroes are all planning together, but he doesn't directly just tell us what their plan is, right? A lot of this is actually like, you know, there was like that scene where we see Endeavor and Hawks in a broken down building just kind of going over some plans, but we don't actually hear what they're saying. And then there's the whole thing last chapter where Monoma was there meeting with Kurogiri, and it's like, ooh, okay. And so it's like he's giving us hints as to what they're going to do, but he's not directly just telling us like this is the plan, steps 1 through 100 on the second war, right? So to keep us in suspense and some secrets that, you know, to happen when it actually occurs, right? So we now cut to outside the destroyed city. We have Troy, which is not the city, but, you know, I wonder if there's going to be a Trojan horse involved here at all. I wonder. We have Troy, the mobile base where all the students are staying right now, and then just the destroyed city that's, like, surrounding it. Like, because Troy is kind of up on a hillside, and then everything else is just in ruin below them, right? That was the city that Uraraka and Izuku were looking out over in the last chapter. So Izuku goes out to meet Aoyama. Apparently Aoyama has called him out, and so Izuku goes to meet him by himself, and he's like, Aoyama, you were released? And Aoyama's like, yeah, the lawyers managed to get me released, you know, and it's kind of funny, isn't it, Izuku? The world's gone to completely to shit, you know, the complete infrastructure of everything is destroyed, and yet lawyers are still a thing. I'm still watching Legal Eagle on YouTube. He's the only YouTube channel that's still operating. By the way, go subscribe to Legal Eagle. It's pretty cool stuff on that channel. But no, he's like, he begins to talk about All for One and his main plan. Like, what is the ultimate goal here? We know he talked about being a demon lord, but that's pretty, like, middle school edgelord kind of situation. So what does that actually mean? What does that mean? I want to be the demon lord of the entire world. Oh, well, he just wants to monopolize everything. I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, all right, that's more accurate. He's like, so I want to be the demon lord of capitalism. It's just like, oh, okay, that I guess that's more practical, if anything. So Aoyama explains that because the world is in such upheaval right now, he compares it to the Great Depression or the period around the advent of quarks where just everything was destroyed. He talks about, like, what would happen in a country where, let's say, there was no longer any running water, but then all of a sudden somebody with a cork showed up that had the ability to create water out of nothing. Same thing with electricity or gas. Like, oh no, the electrical plant in this one city is not working anymore. No problem, citizens. Nuclear Man is here to power your reactors, right? And if All for One is the person that controls all these quirks, if he gets rid of all the opposition, eliminates the heroes, gets rid of One for All, gets rid of All Might, gets rid of Izuku, everybody in the process, he's the one that'll basically be the lord of everything. He'd be like, sir, France ran out of running water. It's like, did they swear their allegiance to me? Not yet, sir. I'm just like, well, they're not getting any of my running water quirks then. I control all of the utilities. I mean, let's not exaggerate. I'm being hyperbolic there, but if he did literally control all of the utilities in the world and make some weird monopoly here where it's like, you know, power plants and any other form of, you know, anything is illegal, and the only way to get power or running water or gas or internet or anything was utilizing the quirks that he could provide, I guess, yeah, he would be the demon lord, right? And if you just assassinated him and killed him, not to say you could, but if you did, all that stuff would be wiped out. So it would kind of knock us back to the Stone Age for a little while. So that's what Aoyama is explaining All for One's plan is. He would become the world's arbiter, the very own demon lord of the planet Earth. That's what he would become. Absolutely bone-chillingly terrifying. And not only that, it's almost as if the creepy opera music cues up in the background because Aoyama just kind of looks over to Izuku and he's just like, that's why, because Izuku's like, well, that's why the heroes are here. We'll make sure that never happens. And then Aoyama's like, yeah, that's true, that's true. That's why it all has to end here, Izuku. Cue final boss music. And then boom, All For One just shows up here, broad daylight, wearing the suit, wearing the giant industrial mask, and Aoyama's like crying, and he's like, it's all going to end here, Izuku. And so All For One shows up. I thought this was like an illusion at first or something, and I'm like, why would he jeopardize everything he's worked for by showing up here in person? But then later on it's explained he still has the search quirk. He still has Ragdoll's search quirk. So he knows, because, Tomura saw, like, Endeavor, Edgeshot, Mirio. He saw all the heroes during the war. And so that added it to Search. And Search is such a broken quirk, seriously. It's you can know the whereabouts and exact location and weak points of up to 100 people. That is such a broken quirk. But anyway, he got his hands on it, so he knows that, like, Endeavor, Hawks, Edgeshot, Wash, he knows they're all, like, hundreds of miles away from here, so they're not even close to him, okay? And so, yes, he's there by himself, too, but he has that black, viscous, like, gloopy liquid quirk that allows you to, like, transport people, right? So he's not worried about that. But anyway, yeah, Aoyama's there crying. Izuku's like, he's going into full cowling, like, I guess we're doing this final boss attack, right? It's like, I can't believe I trusted you, Aoyama. How could you? And Aoyama's just like, my pain cannot be measured by that singular word, uncle. And then he activates his naval laser and then just tries to cut All For One in half. And he hits him. He hits him dead on. Now All For One has so many quirks added to him for, like, defense and buffs and everything like that. It doesn't actually cut him in half, but oh my god, that would have been so cool. Aoyama just does it, and it slices him in half, and he's like, holy shit, I didn't think that was gonna work! I one-shot All For One, ladies and gentlemen. That's great. So, All For One, his suit gets completely burned off, but he's still perfectly fine. He has, like, some burns on him or whatever. And this was revealed to all be a ploy from the very beginning, as a lot of people expected it. Okay, I'm lying. When I was reading this chapter, I was like, Aoyama, no! I was actually falling for it, because Horikoshi is just... He's like, you think this one thing, but I'm actually going to make you think the other. But I'm actually going to go back originally and make you double think the thing that you first initially thought. Yes! It's confusing the way he yo-yos back and forth. So I honestly was like, he could be a traitor or he could be working for them undercover. Either way, I could kind of see that happening, right? So Aoyama manages to get a hit out on All For One, which, by the way, in and of itself is kind of a big deal. It's kind of like in Bleach when Shinji finally managed to cut Aizen. It was like, whoa, like, nobody had touched him up until that point, right? So it's kind of like this. Like, outside of All Might, like, pummeling him into the ground, All For One, like, his main body hasn't really taken a lot of damage. So it's cool that Aoyama was the one that dealt damage to him. Yeah, you go, Aoyama. He's after that, he's just like, I'm so scared, Izuku. I was so afraid. I think I even peed a little bit. Like... Dude, don't doubt yourself. Don't feel, like, embarrassed or anything, okay? I think if any of us were in that situation and we had to go through that whole process of lying to All For One and then attack him, afterward, I think we would all piss or shit ourselves as well. So do not worry, right? This is a good thing I wore my diapers today. So he's like, this is for my mom and my dad, for all my friends, and for myself. I shall fight! All For One. And then All For One's like, disappointing, you fool. But in the same time, he's thinking to himself, like, how the hell? It was at that point that All For One wondered, how the hell did Yuga Aoyama get one over on him? He's like thinking, like, how though? I have the quirk. I can sense malicious intent. I can sense... And he's had this quirk for, like, over a century. So the idea, like, it really hasn't faulted him up until now. After all the years he's had this ability, this is the moment where he's like, what? It doesn't work? He talked to his parents yesterday, and it worked fine, and he even talked to Aoyama right before Izuku got lured out, like just a couple of minutes before this encounter, and it was like he was fine. He didn't sense any malicious intent or anything. However, this is the thing I'm talking about. Horikoshi makes a point to not really show either of their faces. When he shows Aoyama's mother's face talking on the phone, it's kind of cut from like her nose down, so it's just like the lower part of her face, and we only see like a brief part of her eye. And when he's talking about Aoyama talking to All For One on the phone just now, we only see the back of Aoyama's head. We don't see his facial expressions. So what I think that is right there, I think it's Shinso's ability. I think it's Shinso's brainwashing. I think that's the best way to get around it, where Shinso brainwashed Aoyama, also brainwashed his parents, and just told them to say whatever they had to say on the phone, or give them a basic order like, communicate with All For One like you never revealed yourself to the police. You know, something like that. Just talk like you would normally talk to All For One. Now, well, Shinso's quirk doesn't work like that. It doesn't have the ability to, like, control what people say, only, like, they're, like, very simple, like, orders and actions and stuff. And we even saw that when Class A and B fought. You know, Shinso even says, like, I cannot have the people I brainwash perform any like complex orders or something like that. Like, I can't brainwash Izuku and be like, Izuku, do my English homework for me. Yes. Writes a whole report on like A Tale of Two Cities or whatever. Like, no, he can't do that. But also remember, it's been a long time since we've seen Shinso in the story, and he's been training like crazy. And there might also be other quirks, like other heroes and with their quirks helping out Shinso to maybe get the desired effect. So I think it's definitely Shinso's quirk, because when we see Aoyama's mother's eyes, just like a little bit of her eyes, they seem like whited out. They seem like in the daze that like Shinso's brainwash victims are usually in, right? When they enter that daze, like their eyes kind of get whited out, right? So it's kind of like that. And then right before, so Shinso's hiding somewhere around here, even right now, and he used his brainwashing on Aoyama, and so Aoyama's like, okay, hello there, uncle. Yeah, everything's good. Izuku will be here any minute. Come on down. Beep. And then Shinso releases the brainwashing and then goes to... I mean, there's plenty of places to hide around here. And plus, he was trained by Aizawa, so he's kind of like hiding somewhere in one of the bombed-out buildings or whatever. But I'm thinking it's definitely Shinso. So All For One is really wondering how this is even possible, but at the same time, he doesn't even care, because he's like, he has search, and he knows all the heroes are miles away from here. Izuku's by himself. One For All is right there for the taking. And so then he activates the black gloopy teleportation quirk, and he warps the entire villain league right there. We got Tomura. We got Dabi, or Toya. We got a slew of Nomu. We got Toga. We got a bunch of other villains that I don't remember their names. They probably showed up before, but I don't recognize them, plus a bunch of people that probably got released in the prison in the process, right? They're all there, right? We also see a giant hand emerging out of one of the gloopy puddles. It might just be a really large Nomu. It doesn't really look like Gigantomachia, so it's probably just one of like the really large Nomus, but we see them all arriving, and it's like, and now I'm afraid they're going to be too late to arrive, the heroes. But boom! Second double page spread. In the final scene of the chapter, we have a warp appearing right behind Aoyama, and All For One recognizes it as Kurogiri's quirk, and he's just like, what? Kurogiri? How did they activate his quirk? What? Why is he working for them? And then, boom! We have a bunch of heroes. We got Endeavor. We got Izuku, Aoyama. They were already there. We got Gang Orca. Gang Orca. I actually really love Gang Orca, and I can't really wait until he does something. We got Mirko! Woo! Sexy bunny ladies back at it again with a giant cannon, machine gun arm, whatever the hell that thing is. I know it's going to do something cool. But we also got Edge Shot. We got Hado. We got Sun Eater. We got Fat Gum. You know, way in the back, we have Wild Dog. You know, that I don't know if Wild Dog is his hero name, but he was one of the teachers at UA. We saw him a lot during the, I think Hound Dog was his name, and we saw him a lot during the Cultural Festival arc. Wash is there! Freaking Wash! Everybody's been sleeping on Wash for long enough, and I'm done with this, okay? Wash is gonna bust out like a triple Wash, you know, soapy cycle on All For One's ass. He's gonna bring it down. It's gonna be Wash versus Dabi. Toya's gonna walk up with his blue fire, and he's like, you can't even face me. He's gonna go up against Endeavor, and then boom, that's when Wash shows up and just launches a bubble beam at freaking Toya, and he's like the hard counter to him. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. We don't see Hawks here at all, which he's probably going to show up. Also Mirio. I feel like Mirio's there somewhere. We just haven't seen him yet. And we also see Monoma. We see Monoma's face in the cloud. And this was something that I actually read a comment about on how clever this is, okay? So Monoma, of course, Phantom Thief, he has the copy quirk, or the mimic quirk, okay? And it doesn't work on every single quirk, and there's quirks that, you know, he can't gain the added power with. But quirks like Kurogiri's Warp, they will work on it. And the thing is, he has a 5-minute, like, time limit, limit. And yeah, he might have increased that time limit maybe to like 10 minutes because it's been a few months since the last time he revealed that time limit. But the thing is, because it's warp, because it's a teleportation quirk, it doesn't even matter if there's a time limit. Because literally, let's say the time limit hasn't changed. Let's say it's only 5 minutes, okay? So he has the warp quirk. He goes and warps everybody to the battlefield, and he has his watch, and it's like when it starts getting down to like 2 or 1 minute, or 1 minute left with his quirk or whatever, he can just use warp to warp back to Kurogiri and like refresh the quirk and then go back to the battlefield. So as long as he doesn't mess this up and forget to check the time, or he doesn't get captured or knocked unconscious or killed, then he could do this like indefinitely, just over and over again. He can warp heroes in as like pinch hitters and like, oh, okay, they're having a rough time, more heroes, go, go, go. Oh, these heroes are injured, like, you know, Endeavor or like Wash or whoever got injured, he can pull them into the warp and like emergency medical team. All right, okay, warp again. Monoma is gonna be the damn keystone to this entire battle, and it's so weird because his character, like, was really, really irritating. You know what I mean? Like, his attitude and everything, it's just horrible. But he's gonna end up being the keystone of all this. And at the end of the day, and I did this Class 1B discussion, so you can go check that out. But at the end of the day, Monoma does want to be a hero. He has a horrible personality, but he wants to be a hero for a reason, to help people and save the world, okay? And that is what he's doing right here. So Monoma copied Warp. He's gonna use it. He might get knocked out at some point, rendering it, you know, unusable, but like for right now, this is an insanely powerful ability. And I think the black viscous goop teleporting quirk, that has a lot of like negative side effects to it, not the least of which being it smells like shit, but also like I don't think you could just use it over and over again. So I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a really interesting way, but if Horikoshi handles this whole warp situation well, it's gonna be very effective for the heroes. So now we have the second war beginning. It's kicking off. Endeavor's there. He's going to go right up against Toya. Obviously, the rest of Class 1A is in Troy, or they're surrounding the area, so they're going to jump in as well. I guess they can't survive the area. I mean, can't stay in the immediate area because All for One saw, like, Bakugo and everybody at the war. So he's added to Search. A few other members of Class 1A might as well. But he definitely didn't get to see Shinso, so Shinso would be off Search's radar. Also, wouldn't it be interesting, because the limit of Search was given to be 100 people. Now, that's a big number. You got Class 1A, you got Class 1B, you got all the professional heroes, you got all these people. But wouldn't it be freaking hilarious if All for One wasn't paying attention to how many people he added Search to, and then it went over the 100 limit? And I'm assuming that when 101, then 1 gets removed, or, you know, 102, and then number 2 gets removed, and it's like gets replaced. Wouldn't it be weird if he didn't know that, or if it's like he wasn't paying attention? So it's like, I was supposed to know him because of Search. Oh wait, I added too many people. That would be a weird kind of way. But man, this second war is going to be crazy, and it's Izuku and Aoyama leading the charge. Although Miriko's kind of jumping in front of them, so let's just have Miriko lead the charge. Miriko is like top of the charts. Let's just do it. Also, Endeavor fighting Toya. That's going to be fun. Izuku against Tomura trying to save him. That's going to be interesting. But I just want to really focus on a lot of these heroes, like Gang Orca, Wash, have some action from Edge Shot, who's just like a straight-up ninja, so we could see a lot of stuff from him. I want to see Sun Eater. I want to see Hado doing some stuff. Mirio back in action for good. Like, he showed up at the very end of the war, but I just want to see Mirio again, really dealing that permeation pain. Oh, man, this is insane. This is great. And there's just so much other stuff in the background that was probably going on that Horikoshi's going to reveal. Like where's Hawks at? Like, stuff that Hawks was, like, talking about. And he was discussing things with Ragdoll, too. So maybe Ragdoll said, like, my limit of my quirk is 100 people. So if he adds too many people, he's not going to be able to search for the people that got replaced. Maybe that's what Hawks and Ragdoll and Endeavor were talking about. I don't know. It's nuts. But I guess we'll just have to wait to see how this happens, how this all plays out. But yeah, very intense chapter. Really hyped for the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. I don't have anything else for you. No elephant facts today yet. So yeah, this will be Tekking101 signing out. Have a good one, everybody. Woo!